What's up, everyone? We got another NFL offseason recap video. Today, we're going to be looking at the Houston Texans, how their season went last year, what they've done so far in free agency, and what they should be looking for in the draft. The Texans performed to their expectations this past season, finishing 10-6 in the regular season and 4-2 in their division. They won their division where mostly everyone underperformed, and they won their wildcard game due to the lack of inexperience by the Bills. They did choke a huge 24-point lead against the Chiefs, but that team did go to win the Super Bowl. Now, their offense as a whole was average and very streaky, and it seems to me that the X factor in their offense is Will Fuller. As Watson had his best game of the year, along with Fuller having his best game of the year, but when Fuller was out, Watson had some rough games. Now, running back Carlos Hyde gave the Texans a solid season, surpassing 1,000 yards on the ground, while All-Pro receiver DeAndre Hopkins did his thing yet again, going over 1,000 yards for the fifth consecutive season. Now, the Texans finished 16th in offensive DVOA, and in case you don't know what DVOA is, it is a statistic used by Football Outsiders that calculates the true performance of an offense or defense based on variables like yards per play given up and average yards per down. Now, their offensive line was better than the year before, but still could be improved. Their defense was hit hard by injuries as J.J. Watt missed virtually the entire year before returning in the playoffs, and their defense was led by guys like DJ Reader and Zach Cunningham, who had great years on a defense that really lacked stars. Now, the defense finished 26th in defensive DVOA that Bill O'Brien tried to fix during the season by getting cornerbacks Gary Conley and Vernon Hargreaves to fix the secondary that was hit hard by inexperience and a lack of talent. Now, the Texans did make some moves before free agency started, so they released Vernon Hargreaves, not using his fifth-year contract on his rookie deal. They signed nose tackle Brendan Dunn to a 3-year, $12 million extension, which meant to everyone that DJ Reader was going to be able to hit free agency. They re-signed Darren Fells to a 2-year, $6 million extension to keep some continuity for Deshaun Watson. They signed kicker Kaimi Fairbairn to a 3-year, $16.75 million extension. This one might be a little weird because I don't think Fairbairn's worth like all that, like $5 million a year. I don't think any kicker should be extended for that much. And he didn't have like a spectacular year, but he did the job, I guess, for the Texans, and that's all Bill O'Brien wanted, so he extended him for that much. And then they re-signed Bradley Roby to a 3-year, $36 million extension. Now, Roby did play well towards the end of the season, and especially in like the wild card game and the end of the regular season where the Texans really needed him to step up. He did. He was able to lock down the number one receiver. He didn't necessarily have like a shutdown game like Stephon Gilmore would have, but he did limit that number one receiver's ability to get open frequently. And so I guess Bill O'Brien rewarded him with another contract to stay in the defense and stay in that number one role despite his age. Now, the Texans were pretty active in free agency. So first off, they re-signed A.J. McCarron to a 1-year, $4 million contract to stay as backup to Deshaun Watson. Good deal. Keep their backup quarterback in the system in case Watson gets hurt. And McCarron is a solid backup, one of the better ones in the league. They signed free safety Eric Murray to a 3-year, $18 million contract. I guess they're going to either put Murray at strong safety or free safety, depending on how they view Justin Reed. They re-signed cornerback Vernon Hargreaves. Not a big fan of this move. I think Hargreaves didn't fit well in their system, and he's a first-round bust. Especially the Bucs know that because they drafted him and they traded him to the Texans, and he didn't perform with the Texans either, so I wouldn't see why they re-sign him. They signed Randall Cobb to a 3-year, $27 million contract, $9 million for a slot receiver that hasn't gone over 1,000 yards, that hasn't performed since playing with Aaron Rodgers, and his age is also, he's going on the decline, so I really don't see the value in giving this receiver $9 million a year. They signed versatile safety Jalen Watkins to a 2-year, $3 million contract. Watkins can play anywhere, strong safety, free safety, nickel corner, dime linebacker. This is a great signing for them. They signed Timmy Jernigan to a 1-year, $3.75 million contract to replace DJ Reader, basically. And now comes the trade. The Texans traded DeAndre Hopkins and 2020 4th-round pick to the Arizona Cardinals for David Johnson, a 2020 2nd-round pick, and a 2021 4th-round pick. Now, let me explain to you what was going through Bill O'Brien's head. Nothing. This might be one of the worst trades I've ever seen in sports history. Bill O'Brien is trading a perennial number one receiver. This guy has been at the top of the league in terms of receiving in the past 4 years, right? And you're trading him to the Cardinals. You're getting a washed-up running back who hasn't performed in the last 3 years despite one good season. Everyone's on his train because he had one good season with Bruce Arians. You're not even getting a first-round pick back for one of the best receivers in the league in DeAndre Hopkins. You're getting a second round pick. And you just swapped fourth rounder. So basically, they traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson and a second round pick. I'm baffled. I am baffled that you would trade your quarterback's favorite target, a target that any quarterback in the league would want to have, for a running back. And the dumb thing is, the Texans are eating up David Johnson's entire contract. I could see this move if maybe the Cardinals are paying 50 or 60% of David Johnson's contract. No, the Texans are paying the entire thing. They're paying $13 million to a guy that got beat out by Kenyon Drake. Like, I don't understand what Bill O'Brien is doing. And in case you didn't know, Bill O'Brien comes from the Patriots regimen, and in the Patriots front office, Bill Belichick is actually the head coach and general manager. And I guess the Texans had enough faith in Bill O'Brien for him to do both jobs as well. So Bill O'Brien is the Texans GM and their head coach. I can't even fathom what Deshaun Watson thought when he saw that trade. And now Bill O'Brien is the biggest scapegoat in Houston right now. I mean, I don't see anything that he's done right this offseason. Like, he replaced DeAndre Hopkins with Randall Cobb, who is aging, who hasn't done anything, who is slow, who is a slot receiver. You're not going to count on Randall Cobb to get open on 3rd and 5 consistently like DeAndre Hopkins has. So enough with that trade. The Texans also let go of DJ Reader, who was pretty much their best defensive player last year. He went to the Bengals. Outside linebacker Barkevious Mingo went to the Bears. Running back Tywan Jones went to the Bills. And actually, both of their running backs, Carlos Hyde and Lamar Miller, remain unsigned as of right now. Now, after trading DeAndre Hopkins, the Texans really needed another receiver, as Will Fuller can't be counted on to stay healthy, and Cobb has never performed as a number one receiver, as he is a slot receiver. We can see this when Jordy Nelson actually tore his ACL in Green Bay, and Randall Cobb was expected to have a huge season, but he really didn't. Now, thanks to the great Bill O'Brien, the Texans don't have a first-round pick due to the Larry Tunsil trade from last year. Luckily, this is still a deep wide receiver class, and the Texans could get a solid player in round 2 with both their own pick and the Cardinals pick that they got from the DeAndre Hopkins trade. So in my opinion, guys like Michael Pittman Jr. and Brandon Ayuk are the two receivers who would fit best in this offense. I think Pittman Jr. is the best option for them as a possession receiver. Similar to Hopkins, he's not going to beat you with speed, but he's a solid route runner. He can go up and get jump balls. Another position of need is corner, as Bradley Roby was re-signed, but is still very inconsistent. And Vernon Hargreaves isn't the best outside corner. And second-round pick Lonnie Johnson got torched by Travis Kelce in the playoffs last year, so they need to find one in the draft to develop. The offensive line could be improved, and guys like Ben Barch and Prince Wanatahego could be in play for the Texans by round 3 or 4. And finally, getting more linebackers by at least day 3 to help out Zach Cunningham would be a good move for the Texans. That is all for this NFL offseason recap video for the Houston Texans. Don't forget to like, comment what do you think the Texans' record will be in 2020 and who you think they should take in the draft, and subscribe.